Hello everyone and welcome back to Send It's Weather channel. We've got a few features lined up for you today. So we're going to be looking at the latest from the models for the next couple of weeks, as we normally would. Looking at the GFS, the American model, the GEM, the Canadian model, and the ECMWF, the European model, for the next couple of weeks to see what they are showing. And also we'll have a look at a little mini look ahead as well. We'll be releasing our summer forecast next Wednesday. Yes, I know June's already started, but, you know, you can't take it. Anyway, so I wanted to just say at the beginning of the video that if you want to be in with a chance of winning some stickers and a few other goodies, which, you know, I'll line up over the next week or so, a couple of weeks, then comment the word win down below. I'll put like a thing on the screen. Just comment win below and I'll put us all into a random wheel and we'll pick the winner at some point in an upcoming video. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning, then put a comment down below saying win. Anyway, let's get straight on with the video. So at the moment we've got high pressure centred just to our south over Spain, low pressure's way to our north, winds are in from off the Atlantic. Pretty settled further south, but further northwards it is a little bit more variable, changeable and unsettled. Going into the rest of this week then, we do see actually a warmer air mass move in, 10 degrees firm into the south, as winds go into more of a southwesterly direction. Going beyond that though, low pressure begins to move in from the Atlantic by Sunday the 1st of June. Great start to June, by the way. An area of low pressure in affecting north and western England there into parts of Scotland as well. Most directly affecting Scotland. As that clears away though, we just continue to see a barrage of areas of low pressure moving through the first week of June into the second week, and with the GFS run, it just continues to bring in areas of quite deep areas of low pressure as well. That one on Wednesday the 4th of June looks quite unsettled, particularly further north, but not exclusively. This one on Friday, you see the jet stream diving southwards, which is the thick black line, which is allowing areas of low pressure to sink southwards over the top of the country, so affecting northeastern England there on the 6th of June. That clears away and we actually go into more of a cooler northerly. We've got a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland. That's allowing the jet stream to sink southwards and bring in slightly cooler air masses. You can see the 0 degrees for many of us. That'll be a pretty cool day if it was to come off on the 7th of June. We are beyond day 10 now, but beyond that, low pressure, high pressure continues to maintain out to our west and to the northwest with a block-in feature. An area of low pressure begins to clear away to our east on the 9th of June. Winds are back in from a northerly direction, and you can just see it right to the very end of the run. High pressure begins to take back over as it begins to push back in. The Azores high begins to assert its influence from the southwest there, and we're going to more of a warmer pattern at the very end of the run by extended range, but it does show the variability. You can see a lot of areas of low pressure pushing through that first week of June. Into the second week, there is another area of low pressure which looks quite deep, could spin up in the North Atlantic as it moves in, before we do see a cooler northerly, if this is correct, before eventually high pressure builds back in. It's a very changeable run, very unsettled, particularly further north, but not exclusively. Let's see how it compares to the GEM next then. So again, we've got I'll just do that. We've got high pressure again to our south, low pressure to our north. The Azores high to our south of Spain, high pressure, low pressures to our north. Winds in from the west, turning more into southwesterly direction. A few showers possible in the north, obviously through the rest of this week. Into the weekend, low pressures out to our west, high pressures to our south and east. Winds are in from a southwesterly direction. Areas of rainfall affecting worstly the worst, the northwest of England and northwest Scotland, of course, as well, and the Republic of Ireland. As that clears away, high pressure remains out to our west, but less unsettled with the GEM. Keeps some areas of low pressure further north. The jet stream's a little bit further northwards as well, over central southern Scotland there, northern England. So the areas of low pressure don't push as far south. But going into day 5, day 6, day 7 range, can see low pressure is out to our west, bringing up a southwesterly wind, so it actually is quite not bad, not particularly bad really, around average temperatures really, but most unsettled, particularly in the west and northwest. But yeah, less unsettled, doesn't introduce the areas of low pressure as intensely to the UK as the GFS did, highlighting the uncertainty, to be fair. But with this one, we do have high pressure over Western Europe. Winds are going into more of a west or southwesterly direction at the end of the run. Look at that plume of heat going into many parts of Western Europe, Denmark, Netherlands, France, Spain, from like Northern Africa there. Quite a bit of a heat plume there, bit of a heat spike, but the UK on the periphery of it, so we wouldn't really see too much of that. But we would get the temperatures up if it was to come off. But of course, that's highlights the uncertainty. Look at that, just off our shores, 33 degrees over France, 18 to 21 over the UK, but I would imagine the temperatures would be a little bit higher. But yeah, less unsettled with the GEM, more high pressure has more of an influence, particularly in the south and the east. Further north and west, of course, very unsettled, but the south and east much more settled and drier. And then moving on to the ECMWF finally, you can see low pressure again just to our north, high pressure to our south, winds in from the southwest. Might not be too bad for the rest of the week. Going into Sunday, that area of low pressure moves to our north, winds in from the west or northwest. That high pressure remains out to our west though. You can see it is quite stubborn out to our west, the Azores high. Then, the ECM12Z kind of agrees with the GFS. A deep area of low pressure gets sat right over and just to the north of the country, bringing in areas of heavy rain, particularly further north, but not exclusively. That is quite a horrible picture there on the 4th of June if this came off. Day 7 next week. When I release my summer forecast, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But it looks like a bit of a storm there. As that clears away, high pressure builds in from the west and southwest there, and can see winds go into more of a south or southwesterly direction. We actually build in some very warm or even very hot air for the time of year at the very end again with the ECM high pressure out to our east, winds in from a southerly or southeasterly direction. That's a very warm heat plume. The 15-degree isotherm is getting into the south there. We even can see the 20-degree isotherm fringing the far south coast there. Temperatures definitely potentially getting into the 30s quite widely, maybe even upwards of 31 or 32 degrees with that. Pretty ridiculous, you must say, for the time of year. If we look at the diagrams, and we'll go to London today, you can see the absolute ridiculous runs in here. Some of the runs getting up to the 20-degree isotherm into the second week of June. Going through the first week of June though, and for the rest of May, can see we're above average pretty much for the whole time. Looks pretty nice, and quite settled as well. Not many rain spikes, particularly further south. Further north, more changeable. Going into the first week of June though, more changeable. We are slightly cooler than average, with those areas of low pressure bringing unsettled conditions, particularly further north. Can see for London it's not ridiculously unsettled, but there are a few spikes in there, such as the GFS run, which does tend to bring in some areas of low pressure. If we look at its run, the operational is the thick green line. It is at the bottom of the run, bottom of the scale really. Highlighting it is a bit of an outlier, synoptically, but you know, nothing can be ruled out at this stage. But if we have a look then, you can see the upper temperatures are expected into the second week of June quite considerably to go above average, with some pretty warm or hot runs mixing in there. If we look at the ECM midnight suite of ensembles, I mean, we can see the ECM run, the operational one, again is on the very warm or hot levels there. And as you can see, this 12Z run also followed suit, but again, above average, returning a little bit below average to around average, really. There's not much deviation before going a little bit above average into week 2. Again, not unsettled, but not ridiculously unsettled or anything like that. Maybe quite showery, particularly going into the 5th to the 7th of June, potentially. But again, all to play for. If we go further northwards to Barnsley, we go to the GFS run. Can see a little bit more unsettled, but nothing ridiculous. It is really further north, which is going to see the brunt of it. You can see this is Inverness. You can see quite a few precipitation spikes showing up, highlighting the degrees of uncertainty. But even here, look, a few runs going up to that 15 degrees firm, which would be pretty ridiculous. If we compare then, and we're actually going to have a look for a mini look at a summer update, which I thought might be quite interesting. Now we're going to use the 6Z run, and I'm going to go through it quite quickly because I don't want this video to be 55,000 minutes long, but we can just see what patterns it is showing for June and the rest of the summer. So with the CFS, it shows low pressures out to our west, high pressure out to our east, winds are in from a southwesterly direction just to start with, and I'm just going to move that so we can actually see everything. There we go. Me messing around, that's not like me, is it? But you can just see temperatures are going a little bit not too bad to start with, before we do see a return of fresher air masses from off the Atlantic. But we are remaining quite settled here. This looks quite good. High pressure though building to our east over Scandinavia. Winds are in from a west or southwesterly direction, and we are beginning to see some warmer air masses. The 10 degree ice firm covering much of central southern England, and the 15 degree ice firm into the southeast on the 15th of June. That could get the temperatures into the low 30s potentially, but you can see there is an area of low pressure mixed within that, and that could be bringing in, and potentially it's like a weakened area of low pressure, that could potentially bring in some quite big thunderstorms, particularly to the southeast. As we go beyond that though, low pressure ends out to our west, in particular, but we do see pretty warm air masses sticking around the 10 degree ice firm over the country for much of the time, but we are remaining quite dry. Low pressure just sticking to our north. Eventually we do see cooler air masses from the northwest, but it's still remaining pretty settled. Going beyond that though, it is kind of in no man's land really. Slack pressure gradients, meaning that we're kind of not really changing air masses, it's just kind of around or slightly above average. Going beyond that though, high pressure then moves out to our west a little bit, and winds going to more of a northwesterly, so it does turn cooler. It is a very, very mixed signal, I must say, through June. Into July though, high pressure then establishes to our south, winds in from the southwest, that might bring in some warmer air again. You can see them really hot air masses are staying to our southwest for the time being. Going through July though, it does look pretty warm, 10 degrees firm covering the country for much of the run, but we are kind of in no man's land, with winds in from a southerly or southeasterly direction. Not much going on there, but we do see, tendencies towards warmer spells at times. Going beyond that though, into the end of July, you can see we are beginning to turn more unsettled, weakening areas of low pressure just to our north, bringing wet weather to particularly Scotland, northwest Scotland. An area of low pressure there pushing on the 4th of August with some warm air mass. That could be thunderstorm prone there. That'd be pretty good. Thunderstorms, low pressure remains out to us. Could be a few days of potential big thunderstorms there. But yeah, it does look like August will turn more unsettled with this run. It does begin to bring in the wind from like a southwesterly direction, but we are seeing low pressure rattling in from the Atlantic before eventually high pressure establishes to our north, winds in from the east, and it is actually going warmer again. Nothing ridiculous though, it's not like a hot plume, hot spell, absolute, heat wave conditions. No, nothing like that. And then going to the start of September, it does look like a cooler northwesterly moving in with a very deep area of low pressure for the 1st of September there. But yeah, very mixed bag. So, summarising today, so I thought that'd be interesting to look at. So the summer update for today, or the summer little look ahead, is quite settled for June and July, maybe more changeable into August, maybe quite thundery, but it does look like quite a warm signal. Nothing ridiculous, nothing like record breaking, but it does look like quite a warm or hot signal. I am a bit sceptical about that, and you'll see in my summer forecast next Wednesday what I think will happen. But basing it on previous data that I've seen this year, I do actually think that it could be quite it could be quite a summer. I hope you didn't hear that. But it could be quite bad at times, maybe quite unsettled, but I do think it will have its hot moments, maybe reaching 35 degrees. Please not 40 degrees, but I think it could happen. But anyway, so summarising the regular forecast, the 10 to 14 day or the 2 week ahead forecast, it does look quite unsettled, particularly further north and west, drier as you head further south, and could be warm at times, maybe even hot into the 2nd week of June. Very, very close to monitor though, because there are variabilities within the model runs. The ECM going on the bias side of hot, and then the GFS keeping it quite cool. So, thank you all for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe if you found today's video informative. Remember to comment win down below if you want to be with a chance of winning some Send It stickers. Thank you, James. And some other goodies, which you'll see later. Thank you all very much for watching, though, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.